a lot of society is dumb and shallow. I could grow more followers if I showed a flip side of my life. There's a majority of dumb people who just think, I can be rich in 10 days, I can start e-commerce, I can try and just follow signals and then I'll be rich. It's like, come on now, like.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Trader Talk. In this week's episode, we are taking it back away from actual traders and bringing you someone who can help you diversify your trading profits. So this is another one of my good friends, and I am pleased to welcome Ted.
Madison.
I knew you were going to say that.
Hey. I'm so happy to be here on this podcast, talking to traders and people in business and talking about all sorts of different topics. So yeah, let's do it.
I'm excited. How are you?
I'm good. I'm busy, you know.
I can tell.
Third acquisition, food business, it's just, there's so many moving parts, like it's so complex compared to other businesses and property, and so it's just time consuming, but I love it because it's something I'm interested in, right?
Yeah. So obviously I met you through property and...
Did we not meet in a nightclub when you were twerking?
Ted.
At a safe distance from me though.
Now.
Just note this.
I don't do that.
Where? Sorry?
Where?
As soon as hands on your knees comes on, your hands are on your knees,
Listen,
girl.
that wasn't even out when we met, so...
Well, it was the last time we went out, at Sobar. Hold tight Sobar in Birmingham.
Big up Sobar!
Where did we actually meet? Because I don't know.
I feel like it was at an event of...
When that...
that who shall not be
His
named.
cousin was there. The table, and you had like a whole bottle of whatever, and you were just yamming it.
Panache.
And then we went somewhere afterwards. Yeah. And I just thought she was like, I didn't know what she did. I had no idea. And my boy was like, yo, she's a big trader on Twitter, you know. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I realised, yeah, she is. I was like, all right, cool.
Gang ever since.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it.
Now we are the ones in control, the ones who have to organise the after parties.
The after party, yes. Everyone. Even yesterday, people were like, so if Tej is here, like, where's the after party? What's happening? Like, you know, so yeah, it's got to be done.
Yeah.
Ted, so who are you?
Oh, you know what? Good question. Do we answer this on a philosophical level? Do we answer on a deeper level? I would say on a business level, I've invested in property. I've got a portfolio that is just chilling in the background.
Okay.
I then diversified into buying businesses instead of starting them. I might start a business still, but I find it easier to buy them. And then before that, I had a recruitment business for 3 or 4 years. So I've kind of had purchased, owned, ran businesses in different sectors. And I've invested in assets, so property, stocks and shares, crypto. So I've kind of done a little bit of everything. I get bored easily, so I kind of need to have my finger in a few pies. Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
You've dabbled in a bit of trading as well, haven't you?
I did. I spread betted many years ago, and recently I know we caught up about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have done a little bit. Nowhere near serious enough to like put it on my bio or anything, you know. I suppose a lot of traders are liars, aren't they? They just pretend they trade. So
we're getting into that straight away.
Put it on my bio, right, guys?
Facts though.
Maybe not. And so at this current given point, what do you do? Why are you special?
That's a good. Why am I special? I have to ask my mum that. You know, get her on FaceTime. I think. What do I do at the moment? I'll be honest. A lot of it is having fun, doing things like this, going to networking events, speaking at networking events, doing podcasts, creating content. Like that is probably the bulk of what I do and what I enjoy. Sure. The rest of it is managing a property portfolio. I say managing. There just isn't much to do. Okay, I get a text about this, or they text my builders directly because we've got like a maintenance scheme in place. It's fairly passive. I educate and mentor people in property and business. That's quite time consuming. I run my cleaning business. I am sort of the manager of it. But honestly, it's a lot less involved than I thought it would be. Okay. You know, most weeks I'm ordering bin bags and like, hey, you know, did you remember to clean? That's it. It's very kind of low key. Some weeks it's like, shit, 4 people are off. I need to hire people. I need to find people for this. And then the food business, I don't cook in it. I have for fun, but I'm quite active in like the marketing, the sales, the financial management, the kind of trying to turn that business around because I bought it as a not so healthy business.
Oh, okay. So you purchase businesses that aren't performing well?
So yes and no. The food business wasn't performing so well. The cleaning businesses were performing fantastically, and they still are. They're just nice profit margins, great staff, great clients, the odd dickhead or two, but they're doing well.
Right, I see. You mentioned mentoring. What type of mentoring is this?
So I mentor in property investment, so showing people what I did in property, which I don't do as much now because I don't buy as much in property, and it's more like business mentoring. So how to buy businesses, how to run businesses, how to manage businesses, how to hire. Because I've probably interviewed, I don't know, 1,000 plus people, read thousands of CVs because I had a recruitment business. I worked in-house. I then hired for all of my businesses. And so hiring, unfortunately, I don't necessarily enjoy it. It's such a massive part of my role. And so I help people set up hiring functions, HR functions, things like that. So it's kind of all encompassing, really.
Wow, you're very broad.
I am very broad, but that's what shoulder pressing does, you know?
Good one.
I love that. So obviously we met through property, and I think one of the first talks I ever heard from you was the fact that you bought a shitload of properties within 12 months. What was the process of that? How did you do that? Like, what did that all entail?
Yeah, so very, very stressful period of my life. I bought 15 properties in my first 9 months, and they're all about 200 miles away from home. I started with £30,000 of my own money. The rest was investors, bridging, things like that. How did I go about it? You know what? I think I'm impatient. I've learned to control it massively, but that impatience and the realization that, you know, one buy-to-let at 300 quid a month net profit, like, I need a lot of these. And am I really going to take years and years to do this? No. So I don't actually think I meant to when I started out. I said, you know what, if I get 4 or 5 properties end of this year, I'm happy. And then it ended up being 15 in 9 months. It was crazy. And I think the key process there was having a brand, which meant I could raise money, I could attract finance, I could also attract deals. And secondly, having a very relentless deal flow. Like every day, am I making the calls? Am I chasing up agents? Am I on Rightmove? Am I doing deal analysis? Am I reading legal packs? Like I've read hundreds of legal packs at this point. And by having the kind of 2 key pillars, it allowed me to get money, get deals, put them both together, and the rest you got to kind of figure out with builders and things like that. That allowed me to do it so quickly. But also because I was documenting every single purchase, I'd get investors and I'd get more deals. And it literally just snowballed and snowballed until COVID came. And then that kind of stopped it. And so if COVID didn't come, who knows, it would have been even more. And I realized property, as much as, yes, it's full time, you know, there's periods where there's a couple of days where you're doing nothing because the builders are cracking on or you're waiting on their solicitor. And I kind of thought, hold on a minute. If I'm just buying like one property at a time, there's going to be so many dead periods where I'm sitting there like, what can I do? And so I thought, let me just buy more. Let me fill those dead periods. Like I hate just sitting still. I'm very like type A. And that's kind of the top level of like how I did it. Obviously great team around me, great people, networking, and just being a trustworthy person that people want to invest in. Some people don't want to invest in, of course, and some people do. And capturing them is what's important.
Yeah. You mentioned having obviously the brand, and that kind of helped, I guess, speed up the process because people knew who you are. You've got this online presence, so that gives like that trustworthiness. How did you build the brand? And it's quite funny actually because I remember I think I knew you at this point, but we were at an event and I remember someone coming over and they were like, oh my God, is that Tej? And I was like, I listen to his podcast all the time. And I was like, what, Tej?
Oh, thanks for that. Just bring it down. Well, that fucking guy.
But no, I think because I made friends with all of you like so soon into like I wouldn't call it a proper journey because I haven't done anything with it. But let's call it my property networking. Mm-hmm. I was able to make friends with you like really quickly.
Yes.
And I think that for me kind of took away the fact of like who you guys actually are. So sometimes I forget like who you like really are, like you and Kazi and like everyone like that. I forget. And when people are like, is that Tej? I'm like, yeah. But talk to us about like building that side of the brand. Like where did that come from?
Yeah, so before I even did a viewing, before I even knew what like HMO stood for, like anything, I was like, there are some podcasts out there are some books, but they're all like upsells into courses and other things, which is fine. Like it's part of business, it's cool, like it's fine, we all do it. But then I thought, there's actually nowhere that I can learn from like newish property investors, people who are not doing these, but people who are just a couple buy-to-lets, a couple flips. And so I thought, actually, why don't I platform these people? Because one, they have shit personal brands, which to this day, a lot of people in property still do, sorry.
Shots.
Yeah, and I thought if I can platform them, I can learn from them, I can build a relationship with them, a stronger one, because I'm giving them this airtime and saying, look, I'll do all the marketing, we'll get you out there, they're gonna like me more, we're gonna have a stronger relationship. I can say, hey, can you help me with this deal? Can you help me with this problem, whatever it is. And then, so I started that a good couple of months before I really started viewings and doing other things. And then it kind of picked up because a lot of people said at the time, like, Ted, you're asking the questions that I want to know. So now when I interview people in property, I don't really do it anymore, like interviewing people in property. I ask it just for my listeners to learn, not because I want to know, because I know the answer for most strategies that we're in, for 90% of the things. And I'm not that interested anymore either. So like, it doesn't come across as good as when I was like, what do you do in this situation? Or what happens? Because it's so much more authentic and genuine. And that's why when people have podcasts that are something they're passionate about and they're interested in, it's so much better because they're actually like, interested in it, asking questions that matter. And I'd say that was probably the unique thing, because everyone builds a brand, but that authenticity and that genuine like curiosity is what led it to getting to that stage where people are like that. And I think, yeah, it's a good point you make, because when you know someone as a person, you don't necessarily think of them as their social media personality or their person. Even if they're the same person, you just see them as like, oh, I just text them like dumb shit, or I just, you know what I mean? So I think it's good that happens, because if I behaved in like some people, they're a certain way on social media, and you meet them in real life, they're totally different, or they're too much the same, and you're like, chill out, dude, like there's no cameras here, like drop it down. So that authenticity, I think, helped massively.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That is something that I go on about all the time recently, like that level of just personality, authenticity. I feel like in this world that's full of content, it's just missing. It's like everyone has lost that element of personality. But with your brand, I think you've done so well with being able to keep it. You've been able to keep the personality, but also be someone that people want to listen to, because it's not too much of like you being just a twat. But it's very real, and I think people appreciate that type of realness, because it's just not a thing anymore.
Yeah,
I think they do, but I also think a lot of society is dumb and shallow, and they don't want that. They want to see the stunning.
This is the flip side of it, yeah.
I could sell more courses, I could grow more followers if I showed a flip side of my life or showed things differently.
Yeah.
Very easily. We all see that, we know that. So I think there is a minority who want it, but there's a majority of dumb people who just think, I can be rich in 10 days, I can start e-commerce, I can and just follow signals and then I'll be rich. It's like, come on now, like there's so many steps before that. So crime pays, honestly. Like,
I get that flip side. I was having that conversation the other day, and I was like, maybe it's just me who appreciates that type of thing, because the average person just wants to get rich, and they want to do it in the quickest way possible with the least amount of work.
100%.
So when people are talking about financial freedom in 7 days, it's not a thing.
It's just literally.
What's your definition of rich?
Oh, good question. So I suppose I would say rich is, I suppose it's rich and wealthy, right? But rich is having enough money that everything is paid, everything's covered, and you don't have to stress about having the bills paid. So, I mean, I don't know, for anyone that could be 100 grand a year, that could be $1 million a year. I think wealthy is slightly different. I think wealthy is potentially a higher level of actual money, but more so being wealthy is that you're time rich. You are investing in diverse assets, your risks are spread, you've just got a wealth of investments and a wealth of knowledge and understanding that means you're just more free. That's how I perceive it, you know? Like when someone says wealthy, someone says rich. Rich is like, for me, money. Wealth is like, I'm healthy, I've got everything I kind of need around me to be wealthy.
When does it stop though? What's the limit?
When does what stop?
The element of being wealthy or rich.
So I think as entrepreneurs, we're so guilty of like, it's called the hedonistic treadmill, of we're just constantly running on this treadmill of like hedonism, of like new car, new watch, new this, new thing, and I'll be happy when, I'll be happy if, but it's not, it's just I'll be happy full stop. And so for most people, it doesn't stop. It goes until they're 60, 70, 80, and then, oh, I spent my life chasing money, but like my wife, my kids, my family, like no one goes to their deathbed and really thinks, oh, I should have made even more money than the 10 mil I had. Jeff Bezos ain't thinking about money on his deathbed. He's thinking, why don't I spend time with family? Why don't I do this? And so for most people, it doesn't stop. And some people believe they can't stop it, but like y'all are fucked up because you can stop it. You have to make a decision to say, I'm happy, full stop. Not when, not if. Like it's about the journey and the process. And like, you might have a figure in your head. Okay, I need to get 10K a month and then I am chilling. But of course, a lot of people have lifestyle inflation. You get 10K a month, but then your mortgage is 5 when it used to be 2. But you don't actually need that. But it's because your neighbor got it. And you know, there's so much of this keeping up with the Joneses bullshit because of social media, right? Oh, look at man, I had this, I need to have that. And so it's kind of like, it's that treadmill. And it's like, when do you actually get off the treadmill? And like, you know what I mean? Like, look at your life and analyze it differently to what people want you to see it as.
Yeah, because we've got a lot of people in our community who are within that hustle culture. And that hustle culture is literally cancel out everyone, family, friends, everything. Like, all my friends are losers type thing. And just focus, right? And what sort of advice would you give these sort of people then?
So you know what? There is some benefit to this hustle culture at a certain stage in your life. If you're 19, 20, you're probably single, you're not committed to anything long term. Maybe you're living at home, which you do for as long as you can, honestly. Washing up done, food done. Right, it's just
Honestly.
the life, honestly.
Bills paid.
You have to pay rent when you're 16, you lot. What are you talking about?
What do you mean?
Will your mum not charge you rent when you're 16?
No, you're mad.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's mad.
No.
That's crazy. I thought
Never.
culturally.
Big
it
up
was
Mummy
like-
Mads.
Yeah, big up Mummy Madison.
Yeah,
Hold tight, auntie.
big up mummy.
So I would say, for these people, that in a certain stage of life, it does work because some people are so distracted and so like busy with bullshit and hanging out with losers that they don't get the thing done. And so for them, I'd say, you know what, go monk mode, you know, for 6 months, whatever it is, just focus. See if you can do it. See if you as a human are capable of doing this. At the end of 6 months, you'll make new friends who are at the level you're operating at, or you'll go back to them and it's all good. So I think do it for a limited period, set that period now, make sure it has a hard deadline, a hard stop, and do it. You know, if it means moving somewhere else totally different, moving country, do it for a certain period of time. If you're in a different stage of life, you need to question if that's realistically what you want. If you're 50 with X many kids, and do you then want to shut everyone out? Or do you want balance? And when you're young and you got energy and you just, fuck it, man, just go ham in something.
Yeah.
But like doing that forever and saying you're doing that, but then not actually producing anything and not working, like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Everyone loves to talk, I'm in monk mode. What have you produced? Oh, I wrote a blog. Okay. Like,
No one cares.
yeah, like ChatGPT could have written that for you. Like, what's next? So that's what I say to people. It depends on your life stage.
It's true. I mean, you're part of 5 a.m. club, aren't you?
Yeah, but I think that is more for me about balance because I'm a single mom of 2 kids. My time is very limited, so that hour or a couple of hours in the morning just helps me get together before the kids are awake. So if I'm waking up, as someone who strives for so much, like all of us do, waking up in the morning and having to deal with my kids as soon as I wake up, that kind of blocks out my level of creativity and my level of like just being able to get things done. So if I'm up early in the morning, that's my chance to work on myself, any bits of admin that I need to do, it's done before the day's even started. And then once the kids are awake, I can be fully focused on them and not be like my brain in 2 places. So that's just kind of what works for me.
Perfect. I mean, you are quite disciplined then.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a challenge. Like, I used to be a full-on night owl. Like, I would be awake till midnight after midnight. We've had some nights in Soma. But no, like, it's definitely been, like, something that I've worked on over the last few years. Like, it's always been something that I wanted to do. Like, I want to be that 5 a.m. person. Like, I just think it's so cool. Like, waking up like, first thing in the morning when the world's asleep. It's just, like, that thing that you want to do. But now I'm doing it. I'm seeing the impact and seeing why people talk about this 5 a.m. club so much because it works.
And it's not even necessarily 5 a.m. It's like the discipline of being able to get up then is like half the battle, which most people can't achieve.
Yeah,
but I love it. Getting up early so much. The world's quiet, everyone's quiet, you just get stuff done,
Yeah.
there's low traffic. It's just, it's a nicer place to be around.
Yeah, and it is scientifically proven that the earlier you wake up, like 4 or 5 a.m., it does directly correlate with your success. So there's that. But I think, so in the world of trading now, I would say over the last 5 or so years, it has changed dramatically. So probably when you was learning how to trade, funding firms weren't a thing. Like these online prop firms, it just wasn't a thing. If you didn't have capital or you didn't have access to private investors, then you're not really going to make that much money from trading straight away. Whereas now we have these funding firms where you can pay like $500 for a 100k account, You pass the challenge and then you get those live funds. So now it is a lot easier for people who are like 18, 19, 20, really, really young to make racks. Like really, really go from 0 to 100 very, very quickly. What would you suggest, what would you advise for these young people who are now seeing this huge amount of money coming into their bank accounts, who probably don't have the discipline or that level of maturity to really know what to do with it? If you could sit down with them and have a conversation about what they should be doing with that money, what would you say?
So people at that age lack life skills and life knowledge because you just haven't got it necessarily, most people at that stage. They also lack financial education because the school doesn't give you that, does it? So I'd read 2 books first. One is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. I think this guy called Franklin Asante has written a book. I don't know what it's called, but you can put it in the link below. Read those 2 books. Understand basic laws of money and psychology of money first. It's very easy when you've got that kind of money coming in, and maybe your boys do as well, to just say, let's go to the club, that's 20 grand gone. Yeah. On what? Like, are you mad? Go to Miami, it's like 100 grand gone. It's ridiculous. You know, it's very easy to buy clothes that are very expensive, like Bottega Veneta shoes, for example. You know, oh, speak of the devil.
Ugliest things you have ever seen.
I'm not saying they're ugly, they're different. I like them.
Thank you.
I wouldn't spend that much money on them, but I like them. You know what I'm saying? Evolution of fashion. And so you can do things like that, but it's silly and it's stupid. It doesn't benefit you in any way. You'll look back at this stuff in a few years when you're broke, which you will be, and say, oh, I've got a wardrobe full of stuff I can sell for £3 on Vinted, so maybe that'll pay my bills now. Like, the most important thing is financial literacy, like budgeting. Like, if your rent is this, your Tesco, your Waitrose shop now, because you're making money, is like this much, that's how much you need. The rest of it, put it, and we'll talk about this, obviously, into something diversified. Put it into assets, into property, into whatever it is, because spending it stupid and spending it on things that are irrelevant that make you look rich is stupid, because if you're making that much money, you actually are kind of rich. So you don't need to impress people and do these dumb things. However, I would say, have some fun. You know, like splurge a little bit. You don't work hard for nothing. Spend this money, buy some dumb shit, but like be realistic with it. And tax, I don't know about the tax, but I'm sure the HMRC is going to find you in some way. So just be prepared to put some aside. You know, you can be tax efficient, but if you're making racks, you're going to pay some tax somehow, somewhere, you know? Yeah.
You obviously don't really do that much in property now other than just managing the portfolio that you now have. Would you recommend people who are that age that are looking to start investing, would you recommend the property route that you started with, or would you recommend buying businesses, which you do now?
You know what, it's tricky either way, because they don't have any experience in either, do they? Yeah. But I think with property, there's way more free information. I've got a podcast with like 300 hours of content. You've interviewed property people. Hours and hours of content. Lots of books. I'm not saying they're all good. My 2 on Amazon are very good. You're going to spend 100 quid on books, max. Yeah. You're going to spend 200 hours on podcasts, kind of max. There is not enough. I don't think you're going to be incredible without paying for some education in property, but there's enough that you can really get a grip of it and understand, is this something I can do? I could maybe make a start if you're really switched on enough. In buying businesses, and maybe even running and starting them, especially with buying businesses, there really isn't that much available. I can't really think of a book in the UK that's applicable. I can think of 3 people who teach it. One is Dee, who we know, and there's like 2 others. And one of them I don't think is necessarily very good. So, how are you supposed to get into this? There's no real podcast on it. There's just nothing. And so I think property is a more sensible route, because at that age, with that kind of money, you're thinking not sensible. So I would say just take a massive chill pill and put it in the most boring, vanilla thing, which is property. Have that base income, learn the business of property, which it is a business, but it's not as businessy as running, a cleaning business or selling plants or whatever it is. Then look at buying businesses, because property can give you that passive income, which when the trading months go down, when they spent a bit too much in the club last night, it's cool because rent's coming in a few days. Yeah. So I would say go boring and then kind of go fun once you have that baseline of boring. Mm-hmm.
I think that's good advice. I think people. I think, like you say, like property is easy for people to get into.
Yeah.
Like you say, like buying businesses. I didn't know it was a thing until you started posting about it. I was like, "What's M&A?" Like I had to Google it. I was like, "What is this?" Like I've got no idea what this is. But it's right. There's nothing really out there. But rich people, they know about this.
Of course, that's what they're doing.
So it's funny that there actually isn't anything out. Like it's such a gate-kept industry almost.
I feel like it's because people just aren't doing it that much, and the people who are doing it are of a generation where they're not on social media. It's kind of maybe the more older business person or the more corporate business person, and they ain't going to tell you about it. Like all the brands we wear, all the companies we wear. Louis Vuitton owns fucking every fashion company. Yeah. How do they do that? M&A. Like, you know, you look at Johnson & Johnson, they own like every single, you just look at all the companies they own. It's ridiculous. So everyone does M&A, you just don't really hear about it, like, because it's so corporate and like billions of dollars. It's not at this level, but you can buy businesses for £1, for £0, for 10 grand, for whatever. It's at every level.
Mm-hmm. I also didn't know that when buying a business, you don't actually front the cost of buying the business.
You can, and you might have to, but you know, you can. So for example, with the cleaning business, I bought the first one for £50,000, I think it was. And the net profit is £45,000. It's a very good multiplier. You can see in a year, basically, got your money back.
Return, yeah.
So I paid 50% up front. Usually you don't pay more than 50% for safety, for various reasons. I suppose kind of like a mortgage almost. But you only give 50% over, whereas with a mortgage, you actually get the full amount. So I gave 50% up front. I always want less, 20, 30, 40, whatever. Gave 50, so I gave 25 up front, and the rest was paid over 1 year, because it was such a small deal, every quarter. And I finished paying him in June, on June the 1st. And so, yeah, that 25 grand up front, that was an investor's. It wasn't mine, but it was someone's money, right? That's a private investor. Like I raised over £1 million in property, same sort of thing. They invested in it. But the second half of that other 25 grand, well, that came from the profits. Because if there's 45 grand a year, I've just bought the business and I owe him 25 grand, but it's 45 grand a year net profit, I've got 20 grand spare. So I can pay him, and then by increasing the business, I then can pay my investor off as well.
That makes sense.
So technically, I paid 50 grand for it, but I didn't. I paid 25 grand, because that's the only money that I then need to pay back to the investor. The rest of that money came from the profits. I didn't get the money though, that's the caveat. So whilst I couldn't pull that profit out, because I had to pay the seller, but I never had that profit, if you think about it, until I bought the business. So it's almost like it's kind of like a revolving door. It just paid him off. Now he's gone. I did acquire another business into it, but now the profit's just all mine. Yeah. Until I pay the investor, and then, yeah.
Aside from the profitability of the business, what else is there that you look for when buying a business?
Good question. So firstly is the sector. So like cleaning business, is AI going to replace cleaners? Maybe you'll have the robots and shit, you know, but like we're
like a long way away from that.
Long way away, I think. So I'm like, okay, there's some future proofing here. Do I have a big market? I mean, yeah, this place we're sitting in is a market. Your houses are my market. Everything is a market. So, okay, everyone is a target market, domestic and commercial. Is it a bit of an old school industry that's a bit, you know, run by geezers, not really paying people properly, has a bit of a reputation? Yes. Can I change that? Sorted. That's the third thing. Like, what's the culture of this sector, and what, if anything, can I do to change it? Because that's profitability, and that's reputation, that's more clients, it makes everything better. And then I look for the size of the business. I'm not overly fussed, as long as it's profitable and as long as it is going for the right price. Like, we're cool on the size of it. Management structure is important. Is there, in my cleaning business, there isn't. It's fine. It's £500,000 turnover now after I doubled it with the acquisition. So it doesn't need.
I just doubled it.
This is the power of M&A.
Just flow over that part.
We can talk about that. This is the power of M&A. Like, it just doesn't need a manager.
Okay.
But like, if it was, I'm still acquiring more. If I find one that has a £2 million turnover, it needs a manager. I'm not dealing with that shit. Yeah. And you know what I mean? So it's the structure. Has it got a manager? Has it got supervisors? Has it then got senior? Like, what is the structure? Because so many owners, they think their business is worth $1 million because they put blood, sweat and tears in it. Sorry, yeah, it's not. It ain't worth shit most of the time. And a lot of the time, when that owner leaves, I've then got to replace them. And I've got to then pay the new person a proper salary that the owner wasn't taking. That then reduces the profitability, reduces the value. So there's so many moving parts that you kind of look for in the staff, where you have to explain to them, look, of course your business is profitable because you pay yourself like 2p a month. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you leave, what happens then? I pay someone else 2p a month. So there's those kind of factors, there's staff factors. I do look at their social media and website, but I know, you know, we can improve that like that. So I don't really care. The worse it is, the better. Client database, has it got leads on it? What's their mark? You know, everything. It's almost like a Dragon's Den thing. It's like, what are we, you know, I'm looking at every element of this business to understand it. And that's why it takes ages. Analyzing a business, analyzing the accounts can be quick, but analyzing a business, yeah, it's long. There's no comparables. Like property, that's 100 grand, so that's 100 grand. None of that.
Yeah. I've read recently that there are more businesses for sale than ever. Would you agree?
It feels like there's a lot of businesses on the market and a lot of businesses that are also failing. And there's also stats that there's more failing businesses in the UK than ever because of this fucking government, which is useless no matter who's in charge. Spending money on bombing other countries and people who look like me instead of actually funding the people who live here.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like
I was gonna say something else then, but maybe a little bit too
But you know, it kind of feels like everything's a bit fucked. Taxes are going up. It's very difficult to own a business here, especially of a certain size, and obviously all the big boys get massive tax breaks and we just look like, oh right, so we pay more tax than like these guys. And so I kind of feel like there are more businesses for sale, but brokers, oh God, if you're a business broker watching this, honestly, you're a piece of shit, yeah? You might be a good person, but in your job, you're a piece of shit. As simple as that. And you can leave a comment below. Give us some engagement. If you think estate agents are bad, no. Business brokers overvalue. They have no idea what they're doing. 18-year-olds for domestics. Oh, I'm selling businesses. No, you're not, Dean. You're not, yeah? And so it's so difficult to find businesses to buy that are listed publicly because they're all overvalued. And if someone says to you, Baka, your business is worth 200 grand, guarantee it. I'm a broker. You're going to be thinking, yeah, it's 200 grand. I come along and say, dude, it's worth 50. What are you talking about? You're like, no, it's 200 grand. Yeah. You've been anchored. Yeah. And so it's so difficult. Even if they're on sale, it's so difficult to buy them. I cuss brokers all the time. Like, this is overvalued. Come back to me when you actually want a sale. Yeah. And they don't come back to me, obviously. I wonder why.
How do you avoid the pitfalls with brokers? Like,
just don't use them. Just don't use them. I'm just very direct. I'm just like, look, it's overpriced. Who valued it? Like, if you want a real sale, I'm at this level, come back to me. Yeah. Like, I don't even analyze it properly. I'm just like, you want 100, I know you're way off. Here's 60, come back to me. Otherwise, I found one good broker, but he's so good that his clients get the best prices as well. So it doesn't really benefit me.
I might have one for you, actually.
Chat to me, okay.
Yeah.
I will cuss him if he's shit though. Don't send me your...
No, it's a woman.
Okay.
She's quite big.
Okay.
So if it's a woman, you're not going to cuss her?
No, I probably will as well. If they're from Birmingham now, I'm going to have to be careful because you lot a bit...
No, London.
Yeah.
Jucky in it up there.
London.
Okay. What makes then M&A and VC so different? Because they're a similar concept, but...
Yeah, so I think they're different concepts, right? So VC is like a fund, a venture capital fund who will deploy their money in different ways. Whereas M&A is, I've got a business in your field, let's merge. Let me acquire you, let me buy you out. And so VCs can get involved in M&A, and M&A can involve VCs, but VC is just, I suppose, a type of fund. You know, that allocate their money based on their criteria, their risk criteria, whatever it is. And so they might take part in M&A, they might not. I know there's some, they may not call themselves VCs, but they, in the food business, they like invest in companies at like a couple mil turnover. Okay. They then take it to 15 mil turnover and they exit with you. So that's kind of how a VC and M&A combine. And it's fairly common, like in tech as well, it happens quite often. And I know in tech, you guys are always VC finance, VC this is quite like popular in that sector.
There is, yeah. So in tech, we have a lot of VCs and a lot of VCs invest in businesses that tend to fail a lot as well.
Absolutely.
Have you had any situations where you've acquired and it's just gone absolute tits up for you?
No, I'd say the food business is the first one where I'm like, this is hard. Like, this is really fucking hard. You know, which I expected, but I didn't expect it. Like, in certain terms, but massive learning curve, massive like things I'm implementing, massive changes from that. Fortunately, I haven't acquired one that's gone tits up because I do my due diligence, my solicitor does the due diligence, my accountant does the due diligence. If all three of us fuck up, we ain't got a chance. You know what I mean? Like we deserve to get a shit deal if we don't get it right. It can happen. I think what happens more times is that people buy a decent business, but they haven't got a clue what they're doing. They're not experienced enough. They just don't know how to run it, or they think they can turn it around when it's so difficult.
Yeah.
And then it goes wrong. And it's easy to blame the business, but really it's us. If you do your DD and you don't pay more than like 50% up front, you're pretty protected. Like in my second cleaning business, he's lost 2 of his deferred payments, about 15 grand I think he lost on business value, because in the contract I had terms and conditions laid out. He didn't meet them, not in a malicious way. And he knows, like we've spoken about, he didn't meet them. He didn't do what he's supposed to do, and he didn't get paid them.
Right.
You know, so I'm protected. And that's because I wrote the fucking contract myself and I had all these things in it to protect myself.
Fair enough. So all these businesses that you acquire and everything, they become a stream of income for you, right?
Hopefully, yeah.
When does it stop? Because you've got a limit.
Yeah, you know what I do? And I think it stops when the fun stops. Sounds like an advert for drugs, doesn't it? It stops when I can't go on holiday whenever I like and be chilled. It stops when I'm doing a podcast with you guys and my phone's blowing up. It stops when, you know, my life, I don't live to work. I work to live. Like life is the main story. Work is the side quest. Work is the kind of thing there. But I love it, so it kind of becomes a bit of both. For me, it stops when I reach a certain point. So the cleaning business, for example, that will stop when it reaches 1 million in turnover. That could be one more acquisition. So yeah, if you're a cleaning business, talk to me. And then with the food business, I'm planning to sell that. So I'm thinking when it reaches 5 or 10 more turnover, I want to have an exit. Why not? You know, have an exit, buy a yacht. You know, live that life. You know. And so like I have defined goals, and I'm the kind of person that when I get there, I don't keep running on that treadmill. I know I'm like, and I get bored. So when I get a mil turnover in the cleaning business, get a manager, that's cool. That becomes almost like property for me. It becomes kind of hands off. Okay. And in the food business, I know in X many years, I'll expire. I have expiry dates on everything I do. I get bored. And so I just have self-control. It sounds really simple and like rude almost, but like I just have self-control to say, that's my goal. Have I hit it or gone a little bit past it? Is that money doing what it needs to do? We're good. We live in life.
So what? Go on, Maddie, I'll give it to you. You've been quiet.
So kind.
I've never known Burkhardt ask so many questions. Like, I'm just like...
Maybe your other guests haven't been very good. Kazi?
Oh, call him out Kazi.
Oh.
Not
Like,
Kazi.
Kazi's my guy.
Yeah, Kazi's really good.
Kazi's my guy.
Like
Kazi was roasting you. So I don't know about that.
But everyone got onto my shoes. Kazi got onto my other shoes. And
Yeah, Kazi
other shoes.
thinks he's the best dressed guy in property, but I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the right one.
So you property guys don't do the property look no more. You know the suit back in the days.
Some people do that. Real estate guys do that.
Yeah.
But like now it's new money, isn't it? We just do whatever.
Yeah, you guys
Do
are
what you
really
want.
just put on whatever and get out of the house.
As long as we look okay, we look good, it's fine.
Yeah, fair enough.
Could I ask my question now?
Absolutely, you may.
Thanks. But no, so one of our mutual friends, she's looking at starting to buy businesses. She's thinking about selling her family business and is kind of looking for the next step. So she asked me, I told her that I was going to be interviewing you, and she's interested to know. So first of all, when you're buying a business, do you look for businesses that are already for sale, or do you approach business owners and kind of ask them to buy their business? And if so, how do you like convince them to sell their business to you?
Good question. So yeah, this is the beginning of like getting into the process, is like lead generation. Okay, businesses for sale are usually with brokers. Sometimes they're direct. Look, I do contact them. You know, it ends up in that same conversation. You've overvalued it. Let me know when it's a real price, blah, blah, blah. And then I contact thousands of businesses, like thousands of emails I send out. You can do letters if they're more old school. Basically, a multiple step using software like Lemlist, Instantly, things like that. There's loads of software. Just multiple campaigns saying, hey, you know, you're interested in selling your business, I do this, we buy businesses, here's the website. Now I can say, here's businesses I've acquired before, here's some testimonials, whatever. And you send out thousands of emails over and over and over again. And then you have hundreds of conversations, and then you have tens or ones that actually maybe become something. And you know what, there is no convincing, because if someone wants to sell, they're going to sell. You can persuade, and you can show them the pros and cons. But I'm always like a consultant. I'm always like, look, appreciate I've come out of the blue. This is not something you may have planned. Have you thought about your exit? What does that look like? Okay, well, how old are you? What's your future plans? Family? You know, just you get to know them and you say, okay, well, a lot of the time I end up saying to them, you actually are making more money now paying less tax than if you sold it. So there's no point really selling it. And so a lot of the time the conversation ends like that. And they appreciate that, right? Because they're like, cool, you didn't try, hey, give me $5,000, we'll market it like brokers do. It was just an open conversation, you know? And they come back to you in the future, they come back to you with other leads, whatever. But then sometimes you'll get people who are like, I've been thinking about it, or I possibly could depending on the price. And then, but it's just no one's approached them, they haven't had time to put up for sale, they're being busy, the usual story like we all are. And then again, it's just a conversation. You know, what sort of figure are you looking for? Can we see the accounts? Can we start reviewing stuff? This is how we buy. There's like 5-6 different ways you can buy, like consulting for equity. You can do deferred payments. You can do deferred payments based on performance. You can do, you know, buying some equity and then exiting to get, there's so many different ways you can do it. And so it's all about just saying, well, what is your ideal exit? Okay. What is my ideal purchase? Does that work? Most of the time it doesn't work. It does not work. And when it does, it'll work for a few months and then it will stop working and it'll drop out, like with every lead and business thing you get. Yeah. And so that's how you start, really. It takes time, it takes months. But before that, you have to warm up your email inbox. You have to put this DKIM, SPK, all this bullshit on it. Yeah. Such an annoying process. And you have to warm it up. So, because you start getting blocked, so you can't just start. So technically, it's going to take a bit of time.
Yeah. That's interesting to know, because I never would have thought that there is such a process even before you even approach a business.
Massively. So. That's probably most of the grunt work.
Okay.
The rest of it's more fun. You get to talk to people. You get to hear their businesses, like random bottle cap manufacturing doing $2 million a year. You're like, what the fuck? It's fascinating.
Who even thinks of that?
It's fascinating, the people you meet, honestly.
Yeah, I can imagine. Is it as much workload as you expected?
Finding a business or running it?
Both.
Finding it, no, because a lot of it is like the passive, I pressed a button, the emails are sending out, they book in a call, we call. It can be kind of draining if you're not used to sales, because most people say no, it doesn't go anywhere most of the time. Running a business, it varies. Cleaning business, less than I thought. Food business, way more than I thought, but then that kind of balances out, doesn't it? I think as long as you network with people in your chosen sector, if you haven't worked in it before, just to give you an insight of what it's kind of like. Don't listen to what like Dave down the pub says. Yeah, hold tight, Dave. But like, you know, listen to people who've actually done it and actually been there, and that allow you to jump in kind of realistically and expecting what you should expect.
Mm-hmm. In obviously the early days when you're trying to find those leads, would you recommend getting someone to help you with that? Because obviously as traders, they may not have that time to put in that groundwork.
I mean, it'll cost probably a couple £1,000. So, I mean, it depends how much you're making. If you're making, I don't know, a couple £1,000 a day, and it's going to take you like 4 days to do this, you're net loss by doing it yourself. Whereas if you pay someone to do it, you're net positive.
That makes sense.
So it all depends on the ROI on it.
Yeah, that makes sense.